Good evening, brothers. Let's kneel for exposition. My dear brothers, it's wonderful to have you here this evening. It's good to have you all back. We haven't had a man night in months now, so it is good to be together again in the presence of our Eucharistic Lord. Our format tonight will be the Fervorino per usual, and then I'll offer confessions in the crying room over there. I think I probably will leave the light off because of the kind of dramatic lighting here. I don't want anybody to feel like they got a spotlight on them. So I'll keep the light off. For those who haven't been here to confession for a while, there's no opportunity for face-to-face. It's just behind the screen. I'll sit on one side of the crying room, and you'll be right there at the entryway. And then at about 7:35, we'll have benediction. And then afterwards, we'll spend some time of fraternity out in the gathering space. There is beer available, as well as some snacks and individual packages. So I encourage you to stick around for that. And then we'll conclude about 8 o'clock. Brothers, my theme tonight is Jesus 2020. And I take this title from my brother, Father Lynch, who most Fridays, spends some time out on a corner here in the neighborhood, holding a sign. And for some of those Fridays, the sign has said, Jesus 2020. Our mission here at Transfiguration is to bring all those in the East Metro to Jesus Christ, who is the source and summit of our daily and eternal lives. Now, this expression probably warrants its own presentation, but what I want to highlight tonight is that our mission as a parish is about introducing people to Jesus. And we talk a lot about it. We have some wonderful programs, I think. But how often do we actually go out into the street and speak about Jesus? Father Lynch is a wonderful example of someone who's really trying to fulfill our mission here. And it also, of course, dovetails quite nicely with our current election cycle. I don't know if you've heard or not, but there's an election coming up. And it is good. It is a good thing for men to be involved in political debates. Now, we have to see it through the eyes of faith. We have to do it well, enter into these debates. But the fact is that it is a noble thing for men to be involved in policy debates and electing officials whose decisions will affect your families and your neighborhoods. And so it is important that the fathers of a neighborhood, the men of a community, band together and debate important issues of the day, incredibly important. But do we engage in our own spiritual life with the same fervor that we engage politics? My guess is the answer for most of us, not for all, but for most of us is no. Politics can be very compelling. It can get the blood flowing. The spiritual life requires more effort. It doesn't always engage the passions as politics does. But this is terribly unfortunate because the building up of the earthly city will not achieve the salvation for which we are made. I don't care who is elected in the beginning of November. Ultimately, the King of the universe is Jesus, and He alone can achieve true and lasting peace within our heart and within the hearts of the world. What is more, to refuse to engage in the spiritual life as much as we engage in other endeavors, politics, sports, our work, to refuse to engage in the spiritual life with that same fervor has one result, and that is eternal separation from God. It is possible to lose God forever. What does it gain a man to win the election and to lose his soul? So my brothers, my very simple message tonight is a call to place the Lord at the center of your life and to develop what we call a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, I don't know about you, but that phrase doesn't really attract me. A personal relationship with Jesus. How do we do that? How do we do that with a one, Jesus, the one, who can sometimes be thought of as more like kind of an imaginary friend? We can talk to him here and there, but he doesn't really talk back, at least not in obvious ways. And so we need to understand what this phrase means, a personal relationship with Jesus. What is more, I think one of the challenges that I have with this phrase is that it can be diluted to mean something subjective. It's a personal relationship because it means what I want it to mean. I've got my thing with Jesus, you got your thing with Jesus. It's personal. It's personal. We don't talk about it. It's personal. But the Jesus whom we're called to encounter is an objective fact. He is a person who is found in his sacraments, in the teaching of the church, in the souls of the baptized, and in the poor. Jesus is the same for me as he is for you. So this phrase, personal relationship, doesn't mean it's subjective. It means it's a personal choice. I choose to place the Lord in the center of my life. I choose to assent to him who is the Lord of all. And I must choose this day after day after day as 1,000 distractions come my way. I want to offer, brothers, some practical tactics that I would encourage us all to engage in for at least until Christmas. I'm asking for 2 months here. 2 months to engage in some practices which I believe very strongly will help to develop a personal relationship with the Lord who is here upon the altar. Now, some of you have been engaged in the spiritual life for a very long time, and this might be too elementary for you. But for most of us, we make fits and starts, don't we? We have great resolutions, and then we fall back. So I hope these tactics to develop a relationship with the Lord, a personal, chosen relationship to place him at the center of our life, are simple enough that we can stick to it. Oftentimes our resolutions are not realistic, so they have to be manageable so that we can do them. All right. So I ask you, brothers, to seriously consider, and indeed, if you are a parishioner of Transfiguration, I ask you to embrace this. Number 1, Sunday Mass. Now, I recognize that not everyone is yet comfortable, perhaps, coming inside for Mass. I understand. If that is the case, it is imperative that you spend some time on Sunday, certainly watching online, But also when you're watching online, to engage in it as if you were here. No pajamas, no donuts, that's after Mass. No donuts while you're watching Mass. To engage in the discipline of the movements of the Mass, the responses of the Mass. And if you are comfortable coming back, and by the way, I think our protocols are pretty darn good, and I think you should feel comfortable, but that is not for me to say. You must be faithful Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. It is true. Archbishop Hebda has relieved the obligation to attend Mass, but that is specifically for those who feel threatened, for those who don't yet feel comfortable. Sunday Mass is the absolute foundational piece of a relationship with Jesus because he's here. Jesus is here. No matter what kind of homily Father Lynch or I give, no matter how bad the music you may think is, Jesus is here and he wants you here. Number 2, 20 minutes of prayer a day. Now, it can be any kind of prayer, any kind of prayer. 20 minutes of the rosary, 20 minutes of reading the Bible, but 20 minutes every day where you consciously call to mind the fact that the Lord is present to you. And you cry out to him. You pray for your family. You pray for yourself. Again, whatever format it's going to be, 20 minutes a day. I recently became aware of something which I'm reminded of frequently, and that is how much time I spend on this handheld computer that also can make phone calls as well. How much time I spend on this phone, it's a heck of a lot more than 20 minutes a day, let me tell you. We can spend 20 minutes speaking to the one who wants to be our friend. Whatever format it is, again, rosary, Bible, whatever. The Our Father said slowly. Now this can be a hard resolution because our mind can go in 1,000 different directions. But I urge you, brothers, find some time during the day when you're able to commit to this. First thing in the morning before the kids get up. Last thing at night. Might urge some caution about that. You might be too tired. Maybe during your lunch break. Whatever. 20 minutes of prayer a day. Monthly confession, coming once a month at least. Now, if you fall into mortal sin, come to confession right away. But get in the habit of once a month coming to confession. Because the Lord, the merciful one, is found within confession. The Lord has come in a special way for those who know they are sinners. And so it is important to come to know the merciful one in this great sacrament, at least once a month. Again, if you're in serious sin, get to confession right away. But at least once a month. I urge you also, brothers, to find some volunteer activity that kind of rubs you wrong. What I mean by that is something which really requires you to step out of yourself. Because there's going to be 1,000 different reasons why you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. But the Lord says, take up your cross and follow me. Now, whether that's something like volunteering at a food shelf, I don't know if they do that right now, given our current restrictions, whether it's volunteering here at Transfiguration to help Mass happen, whether it's volunteering to help a sibling or a neighbor with some project that gosh, I really would like to watch the game. Find some volunteer activity that stretches you, that you don't want to do, and engage in it and pledge yourself to it. Once a week, once every couple of weeks. Something that will, again, crucify you in a small way. Without the cross, there is no salvation. And then, brothers, finally, I promise you finally, I'm going to ask you all to invite other men to come to these events. Now, we got 2 more before Christmas, one in November and one in December. Now, I think we've only advertised this man's night for the last couple of weeks, so, I don't want to be too upset, but we're a big parish, 1,100 families. And again, even with COVID restrictions and concerns for one's family and one's children, reasonable, I think we still could do better. And we can't just rely upon a bulletin article or father saying something from the pulpit. We have to invite our fellow brothers, a neighbor, a colleague at work, whatever. Doesn't have to be a member of Transfiguration. Invite them to come to these events. Invite at least one dude, okay? Maybe they don't show up, maybe they don't come, but at least invite them. So brothers, in summary, between now and Christmas, I'm asking this of you. Sunday Mass, whether here or whether seriously engaged at home. 20 minutes of prayer a day, every day, without fail. Monthly confession, with the understanding that if you are in serious sin, you don't wait a month. Some volunteer activity that stretches you, that pulls you. Some yes to some request for help where you would rather say no. And invite another man to attend one of these men's nights in November and or in December. Brothers, without Jesus in our life, without a relationship with Jesus, our salvation and the salvation of our family is in peril. We've been made to be in relationship with the Lord. So let us strive to take this relationship at least as seriously as our political affiliations, as our political debates. Confessions will be available until 7:35, and then there will be benediction. I encourage you to spend some time in this next 15 minutes, whether preparing for confession or speaking to the Lord and resolving to fulfill these suggestions.